Hello students, let's look at one more example, and this time we are just going to do it formally with algebraic method on paper, okay? So in this example we have 7x plus 8 equals 3x plus 4, and with similar method, with the balance method before, we are just going to first check what we could do. I could start by removing 4 both sides. I could also start by removing 3x both sides, for instance. Basically, you can do whatever you want as long as you do the same thing to the left-hand side and to the right-hand side of the equation. And you have to remember your purpose at the end is to get 1x equals a certain number. So knowing that, I could actually think, well, why don't we remove 3x from both sides? Anyway, I need x only on one side later on. So I'll write the method here underneath in red. So basically, I'm going to remove 3x from both sides of the equation. And then just to be neat, I'm going to write the equal sign just right underneath. If I subtract 3x from 7x, I will have 4x. And then still plus 8. And here 3x subtract 3x will cancel out. So 0 here. I'm left with only positive 4 on the right hand side. Okay. So now again, as we said before, we need x on one side and a number on the other side. And here I have x and I have a number on the left hand side. So I do not want that. I would like to remove that positive 8, that plus 8. Okay. And we always have to do that by doing the inverse operation. So to remove positive 8, I have to say subtract 8. And of course, I have to do this on both sides of the equation to keep the balance. So doing so, for x, I will still have on the left-hand side, positive 8 and minus 8 cancel out, become 0, so they disappear. Now on the right-hand side, I will have 4 subtracted by 8, and 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Now here we have a slight problem because I have 4 x's, 4 pieces of x blocks if you want to imagine your pen balance, okay? So what do I do? If I have 4 times x blocks, I could think about splitting it. So I can divide this side by 4. So I can actually divide it by 4. So I split it into 4 groups. Okay? If I want to draw it, I will probably draw it this way. I have 4 pieces of x blocks here. And I have 4 pieces of minus 1 there. So if I split them into 4 groups, so then of course I can see right away that each x block actually corresponds with each negative 1 block. So one piece of x block is the same as one piece of negative 1 block in this case. So one x box is negative 1 in value. Okay? So, all right. Of course, if you talk about weight, it doesn't really make sense to have negative 1 as weight, right? But since we are now talking about mathematical equation, then an unknown number can have a value of negative number, of course. So there is no problem here. Now, to stick to our principle before, we always have to do inverse operation. If I have here 4 times x, to remove 4 times, I will have to divide by 4. So in this case, I'm going to divide by 4 both sides. 4 pieces of x divided by 4, we have each 1 piece of x is equal to negative 4 divided by 4. So each will have negative 1. Then this will be the solution of our equation. So there are two new things here that you see compared to the previous examples. First of all, you have not only one x here at the end, but you have 4 times x. So we need an extra step to get only one piece of x. Then what we do was the inverse operation. Because this is 4 times, then the inverse operation is division. So we divide both sides by 4. So that was one of the new things. And the second one, the result or the answer can be a negative number now. So it doesn't have to be always positive result. Okay? All right, so I have only one more thing to show you. I'm going to show it here on the side. What if, instead of having this question in the beginning, 7x plus 8 equals 3x plus 4, in my question, I actually have the other way around. 3x plus 4 equals 7x plus 8. Since it is an equal sign, if I actually swap it, it should be the same thing, right? Obviously. And in the end, I actually should have the same answer. I should have -1 as the value of x. However, if I look at this question, I might be wondering, well, what should I do now? Do I do exactly the same thing? Do I remove 7x instead? Do I remove 8 instead? Or 4? Well, you can try out. You can try it out. You can do whatever you want, as I said, as long as you do the same thing to the left-hand side and to the right-hand side of the equation. And even if each person starts in a different way, if you have done the correct and valid algebraic method, you all should end up with the same answer. So again, let's try. If I, for instance, want to remove 3x as before, then I will have 4 here and 4x plus 8 there. And then again, since the principle, we will have x on one side and number on the other side, I'm going to remove this one, -8 both sides. In that case, I will have 4x equals -4 again. And one more step, if I divide by 4, then I will have -1 equals x. And now the position is swapped, but I end up with the same thing, that 1x equals -1 in value. So that's the same thing. So you can write it this way if you prefer, or you can write it -1 equals x. That's also the same thing. Well, let's look at one more different way in solving. Let's say somebody else will remove 7x instead. Well, Ms. Vijaya said you can do anything you like as long as you do the same thing to the left-hand side and right-hand side of the equation. So why don't I remove 7x? Can we do that? Of course. Why not? But you have to be careful now. Let's work it out. 7x subtracted by 7x, that's 0. So on the right-hand side, I have only 8. On the left-hand side, on the other hand, I will have 3x subtracted by 7x. That will be -4x plus 4. Okay? So, now, x has to be only on one side and number on the other side. So what I do not want is now +4 or +4 here. So I'm going to try and remove it. And by doing inverse operation, I will subtract 4 both sides. So I will have -4x on the left-hand side. This one cancel out. And on the other side, 8 subtract by 4, that will be +4. I have -4 times x. You see here, -4x means -4 times x. Okay? So to remove that -4 times, we are going to divide both sides by -4, of course. Because what we would like to have is just 1x and positive. So to keep that, 1 positive x, I will divide both sides by -4. So you see here -4 times x divided by -4. So these two will cancel out. I will cross it out so that you can see it. And because they cancel out, I have only 1 positive x on the left-hand side. And here you have to think, positive 4 divided by -4. Positive divided by negative will give me negative result. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So positive 4 divided by -4 is -1. So you see here, if you have started in a different way, you will still end up with the same answer as long as you do the correct and valid algebraic method. So good luck with your exercises, try it out, and have fun with algebra. Good luck!